Hi, in this video we will learn how to set up rate limiting for your application services. In short, rate limits control the rate of requests that are sent to your application services like endpoints, or the rate of requests that can be sent using the AutoGIS client library. Typically what happens is that there might be some bots or there might be some malicious people that might be trying to get access to your application services, or they can run automated programs to repeatedly call your application endpoints. And if you're a free plan or if you're on a paid plan, independent of the type of the plan, you can easily, these attacks can easily consume your daily or monthly limits. So you might not be able to use application services, or you might be required to pay additional fees over usage fees because of these attacks. In order to prevent those kind of attacks, you need to set rate limits, and you need to apply those rate limits in your backend applications. So how we will do that? Let's create a new application. Rate limits. Okay, rate limiting. Then this is the domain, that's fine. IOI for the environment, free plan, and I will be using a blank application. Okay. Let's create this one. This is an empty application, nothing there. It automatically creates an environment and deploys the snapshot to that environment. So if I go to here, if I go to the environment part, let's see. Yep. Okay, I've got the environment running right now. If I go to the application settings, if I go to the rate limiting, AutoGIS by default automatically creates a rate limit for your application, default rate limiter. And if I open this one, it says that, hey, within a 15 seconds duration time frame, this rate limiter allows maximum 10 requests. Okay, within 15 seconds, maximum 10 requests can be sent, can be processed. Okay, so you can add additional rate limits, okay, if you want to, or you can customize this one. And this rate limit is by default also applied in your application info for the default rate limiter for the RESTful API calls and the real-time messaging rate limit. So in AutoGIS you can specify two types of rate limits. One for RESTful API calls, mainly the frequency or the rate of requests that can be processed by your endpoints, and also real-time messaging rate limit. This is again the rate of messages that can be sent from a user or from an IP for a duration of time. The number of you can control the number of messages that can be sent. So how we will be test this thing, how we can apply this thing. Let's create a simple endpoint. Let's call this one test endpoint. Okay, this will be get, and the path will be test, and I will be creating a very simple service, test service. Okay, let's create this one. If I get to the test service, I will not do anything special. What I will do is that whatever input I get, I will be returning it as a response. That's it. Okay, so let's test this thing. So this is the endpoint. Let me call this one. This is the response page. So whatever input I sent, it's returned back. Okay. So we would like to protect this one. Okay. Actually, by default, there is the application level rate limit applied. So if I repeatedly call this thing, then I will be reaching to the limits and I will be returning and getting an error. Let's call this one repeatedly, maximum. Many times. I'm just calling this one. Okay. As you can see, too many requests, please try again later. So the application level rate limit has kicked in, okay, and protected my application from this kind of, let's say, automated attacks or rate limiting attacks. Okay, that's one thing. So at the application level, you can specify the rate limiter. This is the RESTful API rate limiter, and this is an endpoint. So this endpoint will be protected by this one, this default rate limiter. Let's create another rate limit. I will be putting here rate limit 2, maximum 5 requests within the, let's say, 5 seconds time. Okay. Then what I will do is the following. I will be going to the endpoints, test endpoint, as you can see, there is a rate limiting tab here. So at the endpoint level, you can also customize your rate limits. Okay, so at the endpoint level, I will be saying that I will be applying the rate limit to. Okay, if I set the no rate limit, this means that this endpoint doesn't have a specific rate limit. But if my application has a rate limit, then it will be using that rate limit. Okay, let me do something like that. I will be moving my application to no rate limit. Okay, if I come back here, if I repeatedly call this service, okay, I'm just calling this one repeatedly. As you can see, I don't hit the rate limit because I don't have a rate limit right now. But what I will do, if I go to the endpoint and if I select this one, and in the rate limiting part, I select the second one, basically maximum 5 requests within 5 seconds. If I apply this thing, if I come back here and try testing this one, look, I will be pressing multiple times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, too many requests, please try again later. So this is how you protect your application endpoints. There are two ways to do that one. One, at the endpoint level, you can customize the rate limit. Second, if there is no endpoint specified at the endpoint level, if you have a default application level endpoint, the application level rate limit, that application rate limit will be applied. This is how you protect your endpoints. Another part that you can apply a rate limiting is also for the client keys, client library keys. So whenever you create a client library key, you can also assign a rate limit for the RESTful API calls and the real-time messaging separately if you want to. Okay, you can apply the default rate limiter and so on if you want to. Then my key. Then you can also protect your API keys. Basically, whatever the front-end application that is used in this front-end client library key will have this rate limits applied. For each of the database operations or endpoint, like anything related to RESTful API, this will be applied. And anything related to real-time messaging, real-time module of the client library, this rate limit will be applied. So, that's how rate limiting is applied. As I mentioned, you can apply rate limits for endpoints and also client keys. And if you don't specify these rate limits, you can also specify it at the application level, okay, which protects your application. And we highly recommend you to define your rate limits and apply them in order to protect your application from bot attacks or malicious user attacks. Thanks a lot for watching.